ये वीडियो एक हॉस्पिटल की है जहाँ पर एक गार्ड दो बच्चों से बात कर रहा होता है जो कि कॉरिडोर में बलून लेकर घूम रहे थे। सब कुछ एकदम नॉर्मल चल रहा होता है जब तक सिक्योरिटी रूम से एक लड़के ने उस गार्ड को फोन करके ये नहीं पूछा कि तुम इस वक्त किससे बातें कर रहे हो। तो उस गार्ड ने बताया कि मैं इन बच्चों से बातें कर रहा हूँ जो कि यहाँ पर बलून लेकर घूम रहे हैं। फिर जब उस सिक्योरिटी रूम वाले बंदे ने उस गार्ड को वीडियो फुटेज दिखाई तो वो शॉक हो गया। उस वीडियो में कोई भी बच्चा नहीं था, वहाँ बस कुछ बलून्स थे जो कि उस गार्ड के पीछे पीछे चल रहे थे। अब आप लोग बताएं वो क्या था।
हॉस्पिटल को सबसे ज़्यादा नेगेटिव या फिर हॉन्टेड प्लेसेस में से एक माना जाता है और इसी बात को साबित करने के लिए मैं आपके सामने एक वीडियो लाया हूँ। ये वीडियो स्पेन की है जब एक फैमिली को उनके पास ही एक वीरान सी बिल्डिंग में जो कि पहले हॉस्पिटल हुआ करती थी वहाँ से कुछ अजीब आवाज़ें आया करती थी। तो उन लोगों को इस बात का यकीन तो हो गया था कि इस बिल्डिंग में कुछ न कुछ पैरानॉर्मल चीज़ें तो होती हैं। तो फिर उन्होंने एक पैरानॉर्मल एक्सपर्ट को उस बिल्डिंग को देखने के लिए बुलाया ताकि वो देख सके कि ये आवाज़ें आखिर कहाँ से आती हैं। तो उन्हीं में से एक पैरानॉर्मल एक्सपर्ट टॉर्च से देख रही होती है कि ये आवाज़ें कहाँ से आ रही हैं। तो जो उसने देखा शायद उसके बाद उसने अपना करियर ही चेंज कर लिया। आप लोग ये वीडियो देखें और मुझे कमेंट सेक्शन में बताएं कि आपको ये वीडियो कैसी लगी।
He thought someone was in the back seat, but as he looked in the mirror, he sees this. A taxi driver from the Philippines was working during the late hours of the night when he sees a woman in a purple dress waving for a ride. As the door opens, someone we can't see gets in. But as he looks over his rearview mirror, this happens. Horrified by the fact that no one's there, he stops the car in total disbelief.
Wala. Multa ata yung nasakay ko ah. Ay, shit. Diyos ko. Nasakay ko.
Even while looking through his dash cam, no one can be seen by the sidewalk. Since the door opened by itself, could this be the lingering spirit of a woman who passed away by that sidewalk while looking for a ride home? Let me know what you think.
Most morbid facts, parts 100 to 150. These are photos of former Ukrainian President Viktor Yushchenko before and after he was poisoned by Vladimir Putin in 2004. He and his family believe the assassination was ordered because Yushchenko wanted Ukraine to integrate more with the rest of Europe. In Japan, prisoners on death row aren't told when they'll be executed until an hour before it happens. They wake up each day wondering if it may be their last. After his mother died in 2013, Arizona man Jim Stauffer donated her body for scientific research. He later found out that her body was sold to the US military for $6,000, then blown up at a bomb testing site. In 2002, a South Korean student was taking a difficult exam until he couldn't handle the stress and anxiety anymore. So he put 2 pencils up his nostrils and headbutted the desk, forcing the pencils through his brain. He died instantly, and all the other students got automatic A's.
Walang katakot-takot nang puntahan ng lalaking nagbe-video ang abandonadong bahay na ito.
Alhamdulillah. Wala ilaha illallah.
Pero hindi pa man nakakapasok sa loob ay may humarang na agad sa kanya na animoy isang nakakapangilabot na nilalang.
Assalamualaikum man ismuka. Ya Allah. Makhluk apa ini cok? Astagfirullahaladzim. Innalillahi. Innalillahi.
Kung tititigan nating maigi, ito ay mistulang halimaw. May pulang mga mata, matatalas na mga pangil, at kulay itim.
Ya Allah. Cabang bayi Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah walhamdulillah. Wala ilaha illallah Allah.
Ayon sa iba, posibleng nakamaskara lamang ang nilalang na ito Pero may mga nagsasabi ang ganitong creature ay maihahalin tulad sa alaga ng aswang na kung tawagin ay sigbin. Naayon sa paniniwala na ang sigbin ay isang nilalang na sumisipsip ng dugo ng tao at hindi mo ito mahuhuli dahil sa sobrang bilis nitong kumilos.
Here are some scary space facts. A giant rogue black hole exists called Phoenix A. It's estimated to be 100 billion times the mass of our sun. Comparable to the mass of an entire galaxy, it has the capability to swallow almost anything. Earth wouldn't even register as a snack to this thing. The crew aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia was still alive for several minutes during the fatal and futile re-entry attempt in 2003. The crew was fighting to maintain and regain control for more than 7 minutes, despite knowing that realistically their chances of success were pretty much zero. There's an asteroid called 2007 FT3 headed for Earth right now that if it were to hit, would do so with the equivalent energy of 2.6 billion tons of TNT. But what's more alarming is that this asteroid, although NASA has been tracking it since 2007, recently lost track of it, and it has a chance of hitting Earth this year on October 5th, 2024.
Never do this. If you ever see these clowns in your living room, leave your house immediately, trust me. I explain all this in the video, but don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the video. You share your birthday with 20 million people. Comment with your birthday to see how many people share the same birthday as you. In the United States and Germany, clowns are increasingly appearing in homes in the evenings between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. That evening, Martin, a young father of 35, was returning from a restaurant with his wife and 4-year-old child when he saw these clowns in their living room, standing and staring with a very disturbing look. These clowns are currently and actively being searched for by the police and Interpol, but without success because they are demonic spirits from a distant era that have resurfaced for no valid reason. And the worst part is that they are not here to give you gifts or a Starbucks. If they're here, it's for a good reason, but I can't explain it here. Comment. Part 2 inches so I can tell you a bit more about them.
In this video, you are chased by a creature that wants to steal your heart.
There you go. A very convenient flashlight. I wouldn't really go like all the way up, to be honest with you. Oh, no, I'm good. Ugh, what is that, a butthole on the wall? Bro. Ooh. Oh, nah.
Give me back my
Oh, nah. Ooh, is it chasing? Oh, it's chasing. Oh, it's chasing. He ain't making it.
This is the best horror film from 2024 that absolutely nobody is talking about. I'm Chuck. I'd love to be your movie guy. Hit the like button, give me a follow, and listen, if you liked Hereditary, Midsommar, The Witch, Lamb, all the weirdo A24 films, listen, Violet is for you. This movie is convoluted and ambiguous, and it takes place in this town with this very sick mother, and there's all these child disappearances going on in this town. And she becomes completely obsessed and thinks that something malevolent is going to happen and her daughter is going to get snatched up. This is one of the greatest depictions of grief and trauma put to film that I have seen in a very long time. And this film absolutely blew me away. It is a slow burn until the third act when everything comes completely unraveled, and it has an absolutely epic reveal. Although it is very ambiguous and left up to your interpretation. I have heard nobody talk about this film and why a studio like A24 wouldn't pick up something like this and distribute it blows my mind. I let the trailer run so you can get an idea. It has some of the best cinematography I've seen in a film in quite some time, and the score is absolutely haunting. This is a less is more type kind of film, and I absolutely fucking loved it. Run out, rent it, get it, watch it if you like these type of films, because Violet is an absolute fucking banger. Trust me on this one. Violet, banger. Absolutely loved it. Automatically in my top 3, if not my favorite of 2024. I'm Chuck. I'd love to be your movie guy.
The government is not telling you about the Bell Witch Cave, a cavern where shadows move by themselves. In 2010, a skeptic visits the cave to debunk the myths, armed with a camera and a flashlight. Inside, his flashlight flickers erratically, despite new batteries. The cave's walls seem to pulse with an unseen heartbeat. He hears soft, mocking laughter echoing off the walls, capturing it on his camera. Deep within, he finds ancient carvings that seem to shift when not looked at directly, as a monstrous shadow looms, with red eyes glaring from the darkness, unlike any known creature. Escaping the cave, he tries to find his way out through the darkness. There, right in front of him, a twisted figure standing silently, its eyes glowing ominously in the pitch black. No one knows what happened to him that night, only that he never came back. To uncover dark tales, follow AI Overlord 33.
Good evening. Tonight's story from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is called The Bride. Let's begin. A young couple got married, and after the wedding, they held a reception in the bride's grandmother's house. All their family and friends arrived, and they laughed, danced, sang long into the night. After the wedding reception, the guests decided to play a game of hide and seek. The groom covered his eyes and began counting to 100, while his new bride and the other guests ran out of the room, looking for somewhere to hide. Eventually, the groom had found everyone except his beautiful bride. The other guests began calling out her name and searched everywhere for the young woman. They began to grow more and more uneasy when they couldn't find any trace of her. Eventually, they gave up searching, and everybody assumed that the girl had run away and left her husband. As the weeks went by, the husband accepted that his beautiful bride must have had second thoughts about their marriage. He decided to forget about her and go on with his life. A few years later, a cleaning lady was dusting in the attic when she came across an old trunk. Out of curiosity, she opened it. Inside the trunk, she found the rotting corpse of a young woman, still dressed in a bridal gown. There was a wedding ring on one bony finger. It was the missing bride. She must have hidden in the trunk and accidentally locked herself inside. It was impossible to tell whether she had suffocated or starved to death, but her face was frozen in a silent scream. Well, that's incredibly depressing and sad and spooky. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Again, stay spooky, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Responding to Stone47's comment, can you kill it? Although it would be very difficult to kill the chupacabra, it is possible. If you do encounter a chupacabra, here are the best ways to protect yourself. Water. Chupacabras are deathly afraid of water and cannot swim. While throwing water on a chupacabra would not kill it, it could give you a chance to get away. Sunlight. Chupacabras are vampiristic and would be destroyed if exposed to sunlight. Chupacabras can also be killed by blunt force, whether it be a gun or melee weapon.
Here's the real home of the Conjuring movie, which was inspired by it.
Here, I guess about 40 years now. This is where everything started. Everything started about our work.
Something awful happened here, Ed.
What is it? Whatever Lorraine sees, feels, touches, takes a toll on her. A little piece each time.
It's been quite a career, and I'm still involved. I'm still involved with hauntings, and helping people get through. It's a very delicate thing with certain people because they're very terrified and very frightened. But there's a lot of people that don't believe.
You have a lot of spirits in here. But there's one that I'm most worried about because it is so hateful.
Okay, so let's go and I'll show you the house. There's a lot of
Never go into a public toilet again. He is literally transforms in front of him.
¿Podemos ayudar? ¿Necesitas algo? Dinos. Run! We got hit, car.
I found another terrifying Iron Lung style horror game, except this one came before Iron Lung. Today we're going to be talking about a horror game called Corpse Ocean, and if you have thalassophobia in any way, this is one you need to avoid. Just like Iron Lung, you're in a cramped submarine navigating the ocean. A separate submarine crashed here a while ago, so we're picking up the lost cargo from the crash. We use a sonar to navigate and check our depth. So far it's pretty simple, and it's creepy being in the ocean, but this game's kinda peaceful. Until you get about halfway done, and the ocean turns pitch black. Even at the surface, something is very wrong here. I cannot accurately express the kind of anxiety and fear I had playing this game. There are no jump scares to speak of, and if you want to see what happens, I have a full playthrough of it on my channel. In my opinion, it's much scarier than Iron Lung. They were looking down the well when they see this. A paranormal investigator by the name Rochelle G uploaded a haunting video while investigating an old abandoned well where the deceased body of a young girl was found. They captured something horrifying.
It's very eerie standing in a spot where somebody has perished. This is an old 1883, I think it said? 1807? I don't remember. And I have to see that literally somebody died in here. There is a body. Well, they're probably not anymore, but
just bones.
A body in the bottom. Look,
No, I'm sure they probably.
Can't even see the bottom. Here. Actually, it shows up pretty good on camera here. There is something at the bottom of that freaking well. So,
at the very bottom, what looks like a pale figure with glowing eyes can be seen, watching them. What exactly did Rachel capture inside that well that could look so similar to a human face? Let me know what you think.
This woman poured boiling sugar all over her husband's body, and this case is absolutely mind-blowing. This case takes place in England on July 14th, 2020. Karina Smith was a 59-year-old woman and was married to an 81-year-old man named Michael Baines. I tried to find pictures of Michael, but I think none are available on the internet. Michael was in need of care due to his poor health, and because of their difference in age, Karina was able to become his primary caregiver. The two had a child together named Michael Jr., and Karina had another son and daughter from a previous relationship. But in 2007, her son Craig took his own life at just the age of 25. Before his death, he went to prison for attacking a man. Following this, Craig became distressed and spoke to his mother. He said the man he attacked was a predator, and that a predator had touched him inappropriately in the past. He said, "Mom, he's a predator." Shortly after this, Craig took his own life. Karina had formed a relationship with Michael while he was in his 40s and her in her 20s. She said the relationship was positive at first, but that was until his age began to become more noticeable. And things started to deteriorate as he aged, but despite this, she still provided Michael with the care he needed. On the 13th of July 2020, people who knew Karina said she had been acting differently and was described as angry and very upset. This was because her daughter had opened up about some horrific trauma both she and her now deceased brother had experienced at the hands of their stepfather, Michael. Karina's daughter told her that when they were younger, Michael would take advantage of them both and would touch them inappropriately. After Karina heard these allegations from her daughter, she remembered what her son told her about being attacked by a predator. The guilt of Craig suffering from such a fate stayed with her for years, and a deep rage began to burn inside of her. On July 14th, 2020, at around 10 a.m., Karina returned to her home that she shared with Michael. She entered the home and grabbed a bucket, along with 3 kilograms of sugar that she had just bought. She then began to boil a large amount of water, creating a boiling syrup. Once this concoction was ready and scalding hot, Karina slowly entered Michael's bedroom. Michael was fast asleep and totally unaware that his wife was standing over him holding a bucket filled with boiling sugar. Filled with rage, Karina began to pour the boiling sugar all over her sleeping husband's body. Michael woke up and began to scream as the liquid destroyed his skin. This mixture of sugar and boiling water is often referred to as prison napalm, due to the horrific burns it can cause. Once the bucket was empty, Karina ran over to her neighbor's house, which was 9 doors down. She banged on the door until the neighbor answered. Karina didn't know her well, but told her what she had done. The neighbor called the police and explained what happened, and when the police arrived, they entered the home and found Michael whimpering in bed with skin on his arms and torso beginning to peel off. Michael was rushed to the hospital and Karina was arrested. Karina was then asked why she did this to her husband, in which she explained what her daughter told her, and that she became so enraged that she poured the liquid all over her husband. Michael was able to be stabilized but suffered burns to 36% of his body, and 2 weeks later, Michael passed away from his injuries. Karina was then charged with murder and was then found guilty of murder, and she was sentenced to life in prison, with a minimum term of 12 years. Cases like this always cause division. To some, Karina was a hero and someone who took revenge to protect her children, while others see her as a reckless murderer who killed her husband based off one simple allegation. So let me know your opinion on this crazy case.
In life, the Jackal's name was Ryan, and he was a very violent and sadistic individual. He was eventually locked up in an asylum for his crimes, where he eventually died due to the asylum burning down. The Angry Princess. Her name in life was Dana, and she was a very beautiful young woman, but she never saw herself that way. After a botched facial surgery that she performed on herself, she took her own life. The Pilgrimess was a woman named Isabella who was a victim of the Salem witch trials. She was not supernatural in any way. She did not perform any witchcraft. However, when they tried to burn her, it did not work. Instead, they left her to rot in her restraints to starve. The Great Child and the Dire Mother. The mother's name was Margaret, and she was a little person who was working at her local circus. She was treated horribly there, and she was even assaulted, which led to her son being born. The son's name was Harold, and he ended up watching all of this harassment the mother was experiencing at the circus. A group of individuals eventually killed the mother, and Harold reacted by murdering them all with an axe. He, in turn, was murdered by an angry mob. The Torn Prince. In life, his name was Royce, and he was a high school baseball star in the 1950s. He passed away in a drag racing accident gone wrong. It seems like somebody tampered with his brakes. The Juggernaut is one of the most dangerous of all 13 ghosts. In life, he was a serial killer named Horace that would lure victims back to his junkyard. He would tear them apart limb by limb with his own bare hands, and he would feed parts of these victims to his dogs. I can't show you a picture of this ghost for obvious reasons, but the torso is one of my favorites. His name was Jimmy, and he was a big gambler with the mob, and one day things did not go his way, so he was cut up into little pieces, saran wrapped, and dumped into the ocean. His ghost is very striking because in the film he is literally just a torso wrapped in plastic that is crawling around. Insane visual. The Firstborn Son. His name was Billy, and when he was a little boy, he used to play games with kids in his neighborhood. One day, while they were supposed to be play fighting, the neighborhood boy actually shot him in the head with a metal-tipped arrow. It seems like the boy didn't know it was real. The Hammer. His name was George, and he used to work as a blacksmith before he was racially profiled by a white man. George was accused of theft, and the white man ended up killing George's entire family. This, of course, enraged George, and he ended up taking his hammer and murdering the people who murdered his family. However, the townspeople still blamed George for this incident and ended up killing him by driving railroad spikes through his skin. The withered lover, her name was Jean, and she was a victim of a house fire. She was the only one in her entire family who did not make it out. She is well loved and dearly missed by those in her family. Then we have the bound woman. She was a girl named Susan who was attending her senior prom. However, her boyfriend saw her cheating on him with another boy and then, in an act of revenge, strangled her and killed the boy that she was cheating with. The idea behind the film 13 Ghosts is that there is a ritual happening that involves the Black Zodiac. It's a ritual that's powered by a machine that feeds on the souls of these specific ghosts that are used to power the machine, and they give the user infernal powers. It's a very out there movie, but it's so interesting and so fun, so much lore. Mwah, chef's kiss.
It's Grandma. Come to the window.
Hello? She won't put me down. Who is this?
He says that having amputated his own fingers made him feel more complete.
Oh shit.
Check this shit out.
Let me see.
You didn't know that, huh?
No, what the?
Look, so he claims to be only 46% along the way to becoming an alien, and what he has planned for the future is very disturbing.
Yeah.
So this guy comes from Montpellier in France, and his name is Anthony Lafredo. Anthony calls himself the Black Alien. He started his transformation at the age of 27 years old, and to look less and less like a human being, he has already had his entire body tattooed, in addition to numerous cosmetic surgeries, such as the removal of his tongue, nose, ears, and 2 fingers.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Dang.
He has also dyed his teeth purple, the whites of his eyes black, and he even had silicone implants installed. To justify all this, he explained there's no one to stop him except that he still complains about being kicked out of public places, like some restaurants that do not hesitate to ask him to leave. But before continuing, I wanted to warn you guys that more and more people have reported that their phones were being spied on by a blue radio app. This can appear on your phone at any time. To check that this does not happen, save this video, click on this icon, then on more. If you see it, delete it immediately.
We are the reason why no one is allowed at Cannon Beach in Oregon at night. Hello, my name is Urban. I am one of the Cannon Beach water babies. During the day, Cannon Beach is a popular tourist destination, but at night it is known for having dark energy. After the sun is down, it is closed to the public, but that does not mean the beach is empty. This beach is known for having extremely strong riptides, and has been ripping children out for hundreds of years, never to be seen again. We are all so young and scared, and since we were taken before we accomplished our purpose, we are all stuck here. At night, when the wind calms down, we all climb Haystack Rock and cry for help. But if you hear us, do not come near. You will have to go through the water to rescue, but it is already too late and you will put yourself at risk of getting pulled into the ocean just like us. So when you're at Cannon Beach, remember...
This girl killed her brother and then ate his body, and this is a case you will never forget. This case takes place in Brazil on April 4th, 2019. This is Karina Rogue, an 18-year-old woman at the time who lived in Sandrook, Brazil with her mother and her little brother. Her little brother was a 5-year-old boy named Maicon Rogue, and the two got along pretty well. On April 4th, 2019, Karina's mother went to the store to shop, and she asked Karina if she can look after her little brother while she was gone. Karina's mother was shopping for well over an hour, and when she was done, she made her way home. But when she got home, she tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. Confused, she shouted to her children to come open the door. However, Karina refused and replied to her mother saying that she is not going to open it. Worried about what was going on, Karina's mother called her brother-in-law, who was Karina's uncle, along with other family members, and when everybody arrived, they tried to convince Karina to open the door, but again, she refused. So, with no other options available and concerns for Maiken's safety, Karina's uncle began to kick down the door. Once inside the house, they were met with an absolutely horrific scene. Karina had done something so despicable it caused her mother to faint on the spot. She had killed, mutilated, and partially decapitated her little brother. Immediately, Karina started to attack her uncle by throwing anything she could find at him. Karina then tried to run away but was caught and the authorities were called. While she was being held down, the family dog even started to attack her, and Karina then bit the dog. When officers arrived, they found Maiken's lifeless body surrounded by black candles. And upon further inspection, officers discovered that she had eaten some parts of her younger brother's body. Karina was arrested and after some time told the police what happened. Once her mother went shopping, Karina took the opportunity to enact her twisted and planned fantasy upon her little brother. The details to this are extremely disturbing, so before I go further, this is a massive trigger warning. Karina asked her brother to come into her room and play some games, and once he was inside, Karina grabbed a pillow and pinned him down and suffocated him with it. Once Maiken was no longer conscious, she then grabbed a penknife and attempted to remove his head, leaving him partially decapitated. She also inserted the knife into his eyes and burned his feet with a lighter. And the most messed up part is she removed his genitals and then ate them. It's also worth saying that Maiken was dead by the time Karina started to mutilate and cannibalize him. Police then began to suspect that this was some sort of sacrifice and was involved with some devil worshipping. This case has little to no details and attention surrounding it, and it baffles me because this is such a messed up case in so many ways. You will forever remember this case and the horrific details that surround it. How could you kill your own brother, mutilate their body, and then eat their genitals? Absolutely messed up stuff, and Karina is currently in a psychiatric hospital and her family has no intentions to contact her there. She was diagnosed with schizophrenia and is under treatment. Rest in peace to Maiken, you didn't deserve it at all, and I can't believe stuff like this happens.
This isn't just a movie. In true Wong Kar-wai style, Fallen Angels is a fucking experience. This week for Movie Club, I was paired with Drew. He's my guy over at Drewby Doobies Movies. We are becoming best buds on this app. Go follow his stuff. It's amazing. He does a live every Saturday morning. It's the best way to spend your morning, just hanging out, talking movies with a really cool person. Anyway, this week he gave me Fallen Angels, and it is just a beautiful film. I watched this thing 3 times. I was just enamored by its hyper-stylistic approach to filmmaking. And I can tell you a bit about the plot. It's about a hitman who wants out of the business and his female partner who's a little too obsessed with him. But this isn't some popcorn flick you watch for the plot one time and just kind of move on forever. This is like an experience that you just keep coming back to because you don't really see things like this anymore. This movie's like an experiment in anti-narrative storytelling, which at times can make the movie a little difficult to follow story-wise. But the cinematography in this movie is beautiful. It's just a work of art, and it carries this movie. At the risk of sounding pretentious, I'm just going to say that Fallen Angels is not going to be for the casual movie fan. This isn't the movie you would just throw on a Friday night when you're trying to relax with your friends. This is something you watch as an experience. This is something you watch for profound cinematography and art on film. So if you've seen Fallen Angels, let me know what you thought about it in the comments. And if you end up going and watching it, please come back and let me know what you thought.
He meets 2 little girls who are fighting in the middle of the night.
Deixa eu falar com ela, peraí. Que isso?
Dead Mall, a spike in latent activity has been measured at the abandoned Diamond Run Mall in Rutland, Vermont. Ministry field agents dispatched to the location have confirmed the presence of several spectral aberrations wandering throughout the rundown shops of the Forgotten Plaza. The beings reportedly resemble teenagers with stylistic influence from decades past. Many subcultures seem to be represented among the group of phantom youth, including mall goth, indie hipster, and scene kid. Illuminated lighting, distorted music, and indiscernible chatter are prominent in areas of the mall with notably high latent readings. Agents report feeling an unnameable nostalgic despair and an overwhelming urge to be drawn into the groups while in their proximity. Local residents born between 1965 and 1996 are being advised to stay at least 100 yards away from the building at all times. This has been a public service announcement from the Ministry of Latent Places.
How exactly were such supernatural creatures held captive in a simple stone dungeon? The Sons of Man planned well in this endeavor, capturing the creatures with its multitude of soldiers, various types of hunters, magical high exorcists, and holy power-imbued paladin knights. But take a look beyond the capture to these monsters' final destination, St. George's Keep, the secret Sons of Man dungeon. Within these walls, various techniques were used to hold the supernatural. For some, it was as simple as strong metal chains, as seen with this werewolf. Larger custom links were used as well, stretched out here by tremendous force. For the more magical or demonic entities, binding sigils of various origins were used to hold them in place, though these were frequently chained up as well, for added safety. Given the nature of how they feed off humans, other creatures were confined to incredibly tight coffin-like cells, allowing human guards and researchers to keep a safe distance while dealing with them. Incredibly, the Order also dug out caverns under the keep to create cells with shallow saltwater pools, within which they could hold various of the smaller horrible creatures of the deep sea. There were, however, many beings far too strange and powerful to hold in any such confinement.
Holy fucking shit, please tell me somebody else has heard of this movie. I've been looking for this for months and I finally found it last night and it fucking blew me away. I'm Chuck, I'd love to be your movie guy. Hit the like button, give me a follow. One of my followers, Jeffrey, suggested this to me months ago and I finally found it. 5150 Elms Way is a movie I never heard of, and boy am I glad I found it. It's about this kid Yannick who falls off his bike and he knocks on the door of 5150 Elms Way. All he wanted to do was go in and clean himself up from his cuts from falling off the bike. But Jack the homeowner had a different idea. See, Jack is a psychopath who's determined to rid the world of evil. He's also a fantastic chess player. And even though Yannick hasn't done anything wrong, he is beaten, tormented, and tortured before Jack makes him an offer to beat him in a game of chess and he will set him free. Keep following me. This is a deep psychological horror adjacent thriller that really goes into the psychology of the innocent and the killer and the way that it shows you the perspective that he feels that his cleansing of the world is completely justified, just like every movie makes on a chessboard. Methodical, calculated, and justified. There are so many twists in this film and it has a very ambiguous ending that I absolutely love. Most movies paint out the killer to be some kind of just deranged psychopath, and even though Jack is, you sympathize and understand his reason for doing what he's doing. And then it also goes into the perspective of the victim, how, being innocent and caught up in this situation that turns into this psychological game of cat and mouse that literally dropped my jaw when the credits rolled. You can find this on effedupmovies.com, and I also found it on YouTube, and it's an absolute fucking banger, and I highly recommend watching 5150 Elms Way because I've never heard anybody talk about this movie except for Jeffrey in my DM, and thank you, my friend, because this is Chef's Kiss. I'm Chuck. I'd love to be your movie guy. Hit the like button. Give me a follow.